Hello and welcome to the first episode of the We're From the Valley podcast. I'm Sam.
And I'm Aaron.
Thank you for being here, Aaron. Let's talk about the Valley.
Yeah.
Aaron, you're from the Valley. Where are you from?
I am from Elsa, Texas. If you're from the Valley and you don't know where that is, between Edinburgh and Westlake. I'm surprised people don't like it. I always assume Elsa's just more established than it is, but it has like a Walmart and H-E-B.
People should know about Ed Couch Elsa High School, man.
Yeah. If you're following football in the Valley, you should know.
La Máquina Amarilla.
See?
There you go.
Where are you
the
from,
corrido. I'm from McAllen. I was born and raised in McAllen, Texas, and hit 18, took off from McAllen, and now I'm back in McAllen.
You made your way back.
Yeah. So it's good. I love the Valley. I think leaving definitely helped me to appreciate it much more. And yeah, man, there's so many good things that the Valley has to offer. And obviously, when you're 18, you're like, I want to leave. I want to explore. I want to find new horizons. I want to learn about what's out there, because the Valley can certainly feel like a bubble. I don't know if you can relate.
I think it is a bubble.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think it's very much a familiar feeling for people in the Valley throughout high school, getting the idea of wanting to leave. You're looking at colleges out of area. You're looking for jobs out of area. You have cousins or tios somewhere else. Like, maybe I can go start over there. Get out of here.
Yeah. Well, I think for sure leaving was a good experience, just because, like I said, it helped me to appreciate the Valley more. However, I will say, and I'm sure you can attest to this too, but we know a lot of people that maybe have a certain dislike for the Valley, which I guess I can understand to a certain extent. But I'm not a big fan of when people hate on the Valley. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you've heard people hating on the Valley.
Oh, yeah.
It happens all the time. What is your take on that? Like, do you feel that it is merited? Do you feel like it's justified? I mean, what do you think about that?
I definitely was that person at some point. I did also eventually leave the Valley. I am currently in Austin, but before that, I was here for 27 years straight, and I actually had my own turnaround, kind of learning to love the Valley and appreciate for what it is and appreciate the bubble we're in. As far as merited criticism, of course, any place has its faults. The Valley is not immune to that. But I don't think that the faults we have are specifically ours. It's, there's just systematic things that allow bad things to happen here, whether it's just politics or it's mainly politics. But I think what's great are the people, the community. We don't really take that for what it is, how special that is, how if you're having someone you know who's having a hard time, we can have a chicken plate sale and they can fundraise pretty easily. That's not necessarily a thing everywhere else. So I think I understand it. I know where they're coming from, but I also think they need to kind of take a step back and realize there's a lot more good than there is bad here.
Sure. The community here is, for the most part, there's a lot of good people. You'll probably hear people saying, I've heard people saying things like, there are certain people here who don't want to see you succeed, or they don't want to see you doing better than they are, mm-hmm. right? Or there's this mentality of you can't be better than me, or you can't really succeed if you're in the Valley. I know plenty of people who have done really well for themselves, who are from the Valley.
Yeah.
So we can definitely disprove that.
Yeah.
I think it has less to do with being from the Valley and more to do with your upbringing, no?
Yes. Yeah. That's a largely Hispanic, Mexican culture. I think it's kind of just not necessarily a fault, but something that's kind of a quirk is we tease our own kind, right? Primos, tios, whatever the case might be. It's kind of in our nature to kind of like cut each other down. And it's also maybe a Catholic thing too, to just kind of like even level the playing field. But at the end of the day, I think if you're about to face the opportunity for great success, I don't think it's true that no one wants to see you succeed. I think that is more of Western culture in general and the United States at large. If you look at movies, right? I mean, think of like my thought process there is like these high school movies where like the friend's gonna go off and do something great, like Super Bad, where one of the friends gets into a great school, the other one didn't, and he's kind of holding him back because of it. And he resents him for leaving him, and that's the view of it. I feel like that's not the case in the Valley at all. I feel like if one of your best friends or if you're going to have that opportunity to do something great, there's a lot of support behind you. And even if maybe your own family is reluctant to like let you go out into the world because it's scary, there's still going to be all that support, right? They'll send you with every dime they can afford, every piece of furniture that you can move, whatever you need, they're going to be behind you. And I think that's kind of the big difference there.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think that there's also the aspect of people who try to leave and maybe they have family members that try to hold them back. I mean, you and I, we've worked as admissions counselors.
Yeah.
And a lot of our students would say, well, my mom doesn't want me to leave. My dad wants me to stick around. Some of them even have to stay and help, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody has to stay and help out at home, whether it's taking care of the siblings or even working. But that's got to be a tough place to be in. So we definitely know that happens. I definitely also experienced some of that from my family when I left. Before I left to Texas State, I remember there was definitely some pushback trying to get me to convince me to stay. And I knew that I wanted to leave. And I'm like, no, at the end of the day, it's my journey, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that I did leave. And I know that there's people who have, for whatever reason, decided to stay, right? When their family's like, hey, maybe, you can stay here, which there are some really good opportunities here. If you want to go to college, UTRGV is a great school. Even if you don't want to get a 4-year bachelor's degree, you go to STC, TSC, you can still definitely make a name for yourself, find a good career path. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure that it happens a lot where it's like, hey, maybe don't leave. And that's got to be tough too, right? Because going against your family is never easy. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's your journey. You should definitely do what you need to do to put yourself in a position to succeed.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's not the easy part when leaving, right? That's one of the harder parts. It's kind of overcoming that. You're right. Like the what if you stayed?
Yeah.
What if you stuck around? And I think that just comes from a more pure place than malice. It's not like you can't make it out there, don't go. It's more, you might be the first in the family to be doing that, and that's really scary for us. We don't know how to handle that.
Yeah.
And it's very similar with college too, right? A lot of families don't know what the college process is. And sometimes it's detrimental to the student, and sometimes it's detrimental to the person trying to leave the Valley for whatever reason they're trying to get out there. But at the end of the day, I think it's from a better place than it sounds. And if you can overcome that, and hopefully you do if you're ever in that space, it turns into a good thing. Because, one, it's reassuring that you'll always have somewhere to go. You'll always have family to fall back on, and I'm sure they will always welcome you back with open arms. That's kind of number one, what that should be feeling like. And then two, it's also like when you're out there, that's still a support system you have. No matter how removed you are, there's essentially an entire space rooting for you, right? They're excited every time you come back. They want to know how it is, how it's been. Are you having fun? What's it like? What are you doing?
Yeah.
And there's also the opportunities eventually, right, when you're more established, that they want to come visit and they have a place to stay. And that's always a great thing too.
For sure. What was your experience like going to school here and then leaving after that? I mean,
yeah. Oh man. So it was kind of funny. I had decided probably halfway through high school, a little too late, I wanted to get out of the Valley for school. I didn't have the grades to necessarily go where I wanted. I got into Texas State.
Yeah. See, we would have met each other way sooner, probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Valley people gravitate toward each other outside of the Valley.
Facts.
But I didn't get into a college, and I was kind of upset, so I went to ETPA because I needed to do something. That was kind of the house rules. And then I flunked out because I wasn't happy where I was at mentally and physically, right? I didn't want to be at ETPA. It was just, it had its own little stigma of like, oh, that's where my brothers went, and that's where they dropped out of school, and that's where my cousins went, and maybe they didn't finish either. So it just had this whole history behind it. I was able to take 2 years off, which is way too long. I think 1 year would have been fine, but I was on academic probation because I got kicked out of the university. And when I came back, the university was UTRGV now. the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley. It was its own new beginning for the university for myself, which is really cool. And
Try to get a little bit closer to the mic.
Yeah.
There.
And it was just a different take. I think at that point I just needed time to just grow up, to do anything else. So it was partly like my own school experience, but it was also hanging out with people who did like the Valley. So I have a friend, Dr. Salivar, who kind of took me under his wing during that time when I was out of school.
Shout out to him.
Shout out. Yeah. I would not have my first job, would not have my degree without that guy. So yeah, he's great. He took me under his wing, and he's someone who loves the Valley, and he's connected to people who love the Valley. Another
successful person from the Valley.
God. Yeah.
Without a doubt.
He got to leave, go to Stanford University, or Stanford College, I guess, in Palo Alto, California. Got his master's out there, came back and did his thing, and that's kind of the theme of it, right? Getting to leave but coming back. And he had his mentor as well. I'm gonna get his name right, Frank Guajardo, Dr. Frank Guajardo, I believe. He's now working at the museum of the South Texas History Museum there in Edinburgh.
Oh, okay.
So he's running that place now, and that's the guy as well from Elsa, loves the Valley, knows its history, or the Delta area history, really well, like the back of his hand. He'll ask you who you are, who your parents are. He'll have a story about your grandparents. He can pull it out of his pocket like that. He's really knowledgeable. So getting to just hang around those people, be in that kind of environment that like reminds you like there's a lot of history here. We didn't just come here and kind of establish ourselves as like, oh, we're Mexicans, we crossed the border, we're staying right here under the checkpoint so we don't get caught. Not at all, right? There's just so much more to it. It's a community that we built for ourselves, that we had to take back for ourselves. Even though we've been the majority here for a long time, it wasn't always the case that we were the majority graduating high school or the majority in political office. Often we were the minority in those cases. If your grandparents got to graduate high school, they were very lucky. A lot had to happen for your parents to graduate high school here, and so on, right? So it hasn't been just an overnight thing at all. So there's a lot of history to look back on. Getting that perspective, having that access to that kind of information and that kind of storytelling really helped me like come into it myself and really appreciate where I'm at. And it helped me just see the Valley different and my experience different at school, right? Like, where else can you get affordable schooling and like essentially a second chance university? And it sounds like a bad thing, but it really isn't, because people need second chances. And UTRGV was there, the Valley was here, right? Everyone had my back still, no matter how bad I was for 2 years and not doing anything really. Helped me come back, and that was just essentially my process coming into myself here in the Valley, appreciating where I'm at.
Yeah, so they helped you basically get back on track.
Yeah, in a big way.
That's good. What was your experience like once you left so you were here for a couple more years, you worked here for a little bit, and then you took off to Austin. What's your experience been now, and then has that changed your perspective of the Valley?
Oh man, I think I was excited to leave. I was also sad to leave, though. I did leave at a point where I was like in love with the Valley already, so it was hard, but it was exciting to go out. And as cool as Austin is, and as great as it is a flawed city, and I don't think that's specific to Austin. I think that's going to be a lot of places outside of the Valley, and you kind of realize once you get anywhere you're going, the magic starts to fade a little bit, and you realize, oh man, like, it's a little grungy, it's a little dirty, and that's kind of more normal out there. You can go down what you think looks like a nice neighborhood, but the locals are like, I'll stay out of there. I'm like, what? It looks like a nice neighborhood in the Valley, but that's somewhere you're going to get your Cadillac converter stolen. That's an issue in Austin everywhere, right? Even in a parking garage. In the Valley, I can leave my laptop in my car and not worry at all. And that's something I miss, the shelteredness, the bubble of it, the community that we're not going to steal from each other like that quite as often as people might in in Austin, right? They're just more removed. And even if they're like on the surface nicer, right? Like something I kind of had to get used to in Austin was how if you make eye contact with someone at the store, they say hi. And it just threw me for a loop because that's not really a thing in the Valley. You say hi to people you know, or like you give them a little smile, wave, whatever, kind of to yourself. But they're more abrasive, they're more kind of in your face, for better or worse. But here, I think if you have a little nice connection with someone, it's more personal still, even, right? No one's gonna call you mijo in Austin.
Yeah.
But here, it's like, oh yeah, like I have a grandma that looks like you. You probably have a grandson that looks like me, and that's something that is hard to replicate over there. So I think, if anything, it just kind of reinforces that the Valley is, in its way, its own little world. It's disconnected from everything, but that's not a bad thing at all. It's such a special thing.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. It's like I said, it wasn't until I went away to college that I realized how amazing the Valley is. How I don't think I never had a dislike for the Valley. I was just an 18-year-old kid ready to get out, ready to find something new, right? And to broaden my horizons, basically. But when I was gone, number one, the food. You're not... Austin and San Antonio always have these conversations about who has the best tacos. Man, they don't even come close to the food here, right? So it's always funny when you hear that. Austin has the best. San Antonio has... No, you guys don't. No hate, right? I love Austin. I love San Antonio. Spent a lot of time in both of those cities when I was in college. Had some friends at Incarnate Word, so I would go down for the weekends.
Yeah.
Had some friends up at UT Austin, so I had to go up there for the weekends. I mean, it's only 30 minutes from Texas State, so worked in Austin as well. But at the end of the day, their food doesn't compare to the Valley food.
No.
The breakfast tacos, Stripes tacos here are better than the tacos.
Yes. They don't have Stripes Laredo Company tacos in Austin. You have to travel like 40 minutes outside of the city area.
I think San Marcos and Kyle have them now, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the Laredo Taco Company. But for a long time, I mean, when I was in school there, we didn't.
But I would say even then that they're probably not up to the quality that it is in the Valley.
That's probably true. Yeah.
Someone, Abuelita, working at Stripes.
Yeah.
And down there, it's some person, and you need a job, sure, but it's not going to be the same.
That's probably true. But yeah, I mean, that's just one example, right? And it's a small one, but it's still significant to me.
No, yeah. I mean, you eat every day.
You're
going to notice it.
Exactly. I mean, and also like the food that you eat when you're here and you're like, it tastes like home, right?
Yeah.
You're over there and you're like, I order enchiladas and I'm like, it doesn't taste like home. It's Tex-Mex and I like it, but it doesn't taste like home, right? So that's an example. And then also just the fact that here, for example, you don't have to get on 35 and be in traffic forever. It's just getting to places in like 10, 15 minutes is so nice here as opposed to over there. When I was working in Austin and I was living in Kyle, I would commute. It's like an hour 15, an hour 20. And it sucked. It's soul crushing. Nobody wants to do that every day.
And it's so different, like an Austin 20-minute drive versus a Valley 20-minute drive. I got to drive like 20, 25 minutes to see you. I don't mind that because it's just like I go through 107, I cut through Edinburgh a little bit, and I'm here. No problem. In Austin, like if I have to go south of the river, dude, that's like I got to pack water, I got to pack clothes for the night, something, right? It's so much more of an event.
And if there's construction on 35, you're screwed.
Oh, my God. If there's an accident on 35, it's just, it ruins your day.
That's true.
There was, I think my first month there, a man who was having a standoff with police at his home, nowhere near 35, but somehow that affected traffic on 35. It's like 11 in the morning and it just like stands still. I'm like, what's happening? It was because of that. Nowhere near it. But
yeah, I definitely don't miss that. I don't miss it at all.
Yeah.
But that's one example. And then at the end of the day, like just being here and being able to reconnect with a lot of friends and family that you have here, it's really nice, right? And so it's good. When I was up in college and I would come home for the holidays, I always loved it. I always liked just being able to, I don't know, the pace of life is slower here, and I like that. I do enjoy that now. I didn't plan to move back. I was gone for maybe about 10 years, right? Yeah. And I didn't plan to move back anytime soon. Yeah. But I'm glad I did. I'm really glad I did. Cost of living is more affordable. Dude, the apartment that I have here, I have a 2-bed, 2-bath. And what I'm paying here, dude, is nothing compared to what I'd be paying over there. I mean, it's what I'm paying $800 a month.
Yeah, don't remember.
I don't mean to flex on you, but
you're flexing.
But
my apartment is the size of your living room and kitchen, and it costs more.
Yeah, and it's an older unit too, right?
Yeah.
So it's like if you wanted a nicer unit, bro, like you better put down an extra $1,000 a month or something.
Yeah, I gotta pay for my laundry too.
Yeah,
I gotta go downstairs and.
So little things like that, it's like, man, there are so many benefits to living in the valley. And so at the end of the day, if people want to leave, I always encourage that. Leave, experience living outside of the valley.
Oh, yeah.
By all means, nobody has to stay where they are at, right?
Yeah.
But all of that, we come back to talk about how the dislike for the valley, I'm not a big fan of it, dude. I'm really not. And I think that, of course, no place is perfect. Every place has a lot of room to grow. But at the end of the day, man, I've been able to appreciate the valley. And now I'm super happy living here. I really enjoy it. I like working here. I like being able to live here. Yeah. Like I said, reconnect with friends. I have family in Mexico too, so it's nice to be closer to them. But yeah, it's so good. You talked earlier about how people in the valley gravitate towards each other, and this is so true.
Oh my God.
I'll give you an example. When I was at college orientation for Texas State, I remember I met this guy from Brownsville, and I was like, "Oh, where are you from?" He's like, "Oh, I'm from Brownsville." Oh, holy crap! And it's so cool, right? And so, tell us about your experience. If you run into people in the valley in Austin,
all the time, yeah. Before the pandemic, when I would visit, Ubers would have like ride share, so multiple people could take the same Uber, and they would be going in the generally same direction. I had gone up for a concert, and I had used that service about 4 times, and every single time there was someone in the car from the valley, where it was the driver or the other person. I was like, "Oh yeah, I've heard of McAllen. I know McAllen, or I'm from there." Something like that. It's consistently happening at my work at this new job. My coworker, who I share an office with, she's originally from Harlingen. Her family. My HR person is from McAllen. We're everywhere. We're always bumping into each other, and it's a nice feeling.
Hell yeah, it's really nice. You almost feel like you immediately have something in common with them, and even if like you said, they're from Harlingen. Maybe you didn't grow up in Harlingen, but still, they understand. You understand each other where we're from.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's nice to have that.
It's. I would imagine it'd be different if like 2 people from Austin met in New York. It's like, oh, cool, we're Texan, right? Like, yeah. It's not like we're Austinites. Like, yeah, you're 35. You might talk about that for a second, but when you're from the valley, you just know, even if you don't realize it yet, you know how specific the valley is, and I think we all kind of grew up knowing this place is a little different. I think because we watch TV and we see people like some 30-year-old white people playing high school students, and like that's not my experience at all. That doesn't look familiar whatsoever. There's no mention of whether you're like, if you're in a family living paycheck to paycheck, or the Catholic experience, whether or not you are Catholic, you're going to be experiencing it down here. There's something very specific happening, and it's not happening anywhere else.
Yeah, that's facts. What do you think are things that's like, dude, like things in the valley, like that right away? It's like, oh, okay, that's something that we know, like you only know if you're from the valley. So like the basilica, right, the shrine in San Juan, everybody knows where that's at. I mean, you've been there at least once. Once at least. It's the football culture sometimes. It's really big. It can be the music. So even just bringing up like Bobby Pulido. For sure. I hung out with this cousin up there, and the cousin wasn't really connected to the music or the Tejano, but his girlfriend was really into it because she had grown up in Eagle Pass. So she was really excited that he was related to him. The food, obviously. That's something, because that's a conversation, like, it's an example, but it's a big one because it comes up so often. And people, I mean, I'm not exactly the face of Mexican Americans, but I let it be known that I am. And people ask me, what's the best spot in Austin that you've tried, right? And it's like, I don't even want to say it, because it's just like, if you find a good place, what that means is that it's on par for an average place here. And the average food here is pretty good, right? But like, you go to Brownsville, there's nothing like Brownsville's food. That every place I've been to in Brownsville that wasn't fast food was amazing.
and that's just not a thing there. So, yeah, it's what kind of comes down to, just like the cultural things really. Those are the touchstones, or like if they're like older. Oh, I did actually talk to an older Uber driver. He's probably in his 40s, so he had a bit of a different experience than me. But he talked about going to Progreso when he was in high school, getting drunk during the day, and like, oh yeah, I heard my brothers talking about that.
And that still happens.
Well, yeah. Maybe not high school students as much,
Right? But I mean, people are still going out there.
Yeah. That's a spot to go to if you know you're not too familiar with Mexico. Progreso is super easy, safe, accessible, but those have been the things that like we've touched on. How about you? When you run into people, what's the thing that like you're excited to talk about?
Definitely talk a lot about SPI,
Mm-hmm.
the beach. Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, it's really nice just to live so close to the beach. Definitely, I don't know why, but we always get into the conversation of how, you know, a family in Mexico and how I used to go often. I didn't have health insurance growing up, dude. And so my braces, I got them in Monterrey, you know, or if we had to go get medication, you know, it's so cheap to get it over there. And oftentimes, you know, there are certain meds that you don't need even a prescription for. And so it's nice to have easy access to that, right? So it's funny when you hear other people, oh yeah, I got my braces in Reynosa, or, you know, and so it happens. It happens so often. That's probably what comes to mind. Or even like something as simple as like you said, like the Stripes tacos. It's like, dude, like there's, I mean, that's the best tacos from a gas station, you know, and so things like that, right? And obviously there are some really good places that are like, you know, sit-in restaurants, but it's so cool. Just, you know, you meet somebody that, oh yeah, I'm from Sherryland. Okay, awesome. Like you're like literally 15 minutes away. You know, it's crazy how, you know, that happened a lot at Texas State, and so yeah, I mean, there was people from the Valley at Texas State that maybe like they went to like, I went to Memorial, right? But I hung out with a lot of people from Mac High and Nicky Rowe, and we were in high school. We were, you know, crosstown rivals and stuff like that. And then we meet each other at college, and we're super close. And so somebody who maybe like was pretty close to you when you were in high school, but you've never even talked to, and then you come and meet them in college, and you just, you know, you get really close because you have that in common.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that was always really nice. It was cool to be able to connect with those people. And like you said, we tended to gravitate towards each other. And a lot of times because we know the obstacles and the challenges we had to face to get to where we were, right? And to get to college and things like that. And so all of those things are what helped me to appreciate it even more. Yeah. And so, yeah, man, I'm super proud. I'm super proud to be from the Valley. And like I said, at 18, I was definitely excited to leave. But now I'm like, man, those experiences helped me to come back and appreciate the Valley more. And now I get to help out a lot in the Valley, you know, to invest in the community that you want to see prosper and to grow. And obviously the Valley is growing extremely fast. And it's been one of the fastest growing areas in the nation for a long time. And it still continues to grow.
Yeah. I think it's still number one in growing. And I think, touching on what you just said right now, I don't want the intention of this podcast or this episode to be like, don't go, don't leave. It's so great. It is great, but like you and hopefully like me one day, I trust that we're sending out our best, unlike what people say. We're sending our best, and they're going to come back with more skills, with more knowledge of the world, and just bring the best of the outside to help make the Valley even better. And I think that's kind of been the case with some of our favorite spots here already, right? People who either have been here or who are from the outside come in and they kind of just add a little bit more life to it, right? Like, it's your favorite coffee shop. They probably learned how to make great coffee.
What is your favorite coffee shop?
It's the Grand Coffee Co. But they did learn out in Jitters from Mission. So that's kind of, they're cousins in that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
The grind. I used to spend so much time out there.
I even when I'm here, I'm just hanging out there. Like,
Shout out to the grind. Sorry you have to put up with Aaron so much.
Hey, they're lucky. They got me. That's free advertisement, baby.
Word. Dude. You know that Moonbeans is the place to be for me. But that's because shoot, we used
You're
to
a
go so
McAllen
much.
baby.
Yeah,
You grew
yeah.
up here.
And in high school, we used to go so much, and they used to do open mic night, and they used to have
Mm-hmm.
live music, and that was always fun, and it was always a good time to go study there, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And to this day, even at the new one right across the street, yeah, that's the place to be, man.
You know where we got coffee in Elsa when I was in high school?
Where
McDonald's.
Mickey D's.
Mickey D's. That was like the option.
Damn.
You could go to Jack.
Do they have any coffee shops in Elsa now?
They're opening one. It's God bless them. I love Elsa. It's called Coffee Cafe. So Cafe.
Okay. Well, good.
Yeah,
That's better for
no,
Elsa.
it is. Yeah, hopefully they do well. It's always nice to see things. For the record, the first iced cube was in Elsa. They started out there.
Oh yeah, the Raspas
Yeah.
place.
Now they're everywhere but Elsa.
Yeah. So the Elsa one is not there anymore?
Yeah, I think they were just having the police there were being annoying, like because their line would kind of wrap around the little neighborhood because it was kind of in an odd spot. It was on 107, but not in a businessy area. So the police would hang around and like stop people because they were like parked weird in line, and that was really annoying. So, understandably, I think they left. I don't know if they had another small spot, but I don't think they're there. But yeah, that they came out of Elsa. They're everywhere else now. That's awesome to see. I don't, if Coffee Cafe takes off and that's like the spot, that's awesome. It looks like a nice big building. Maybe it could be used for venues, but it's always nice to see something new pop up there.
Yeah. Good for them. Now people hopefully won't have to go to Westaco to the.
Yeah, man, that Starbucks line is terrible. But
Yeah, so I've heard.
They got 2 Starbucks now.
So
That's
I
good.
heard.
We need to make a point. I think we need to highlight some places when we get the chance.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at the end of the day, dude, like, there's. I mean, we're from the valley, but we still. I feel like, shoot, there's a lot of places that we still don't even know about, right? So.
Yeah. I worked a year in Brownsville, and I feel like I barely touched the surface as far as what there is. That's a big city, man.
Yeah.
A lot of people in Brownsville.
I like Brownsville, man. There's a lot of nice people out there, and there's good stuff there. And shoot, what would you say was your favorite part about working there?
In Brownsville?
Yeah.
That I was on the border. Honestly, right? If you've never taken that trip to UTRGV Brownsville or UTB or TSCC, whatever you want to call it.
TSC.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Everyone else will call it UTB still. But yeah, you're on the expressway and then you're not. It just ends. And you're there looking at the bridge, and then you take a right, and the parking lot is along the border fence, and that's the reality of it. It's right there. I always thought it was real cool. It doesn't feel, even though there's a fence and there's that whole thing behind it, right? It doesn't feel politicized. It feels like people cross over all the time to come work either at the university or in the area surrounding, and people are back and forth, and that's very much like a friendly city community there, right? Matamoros and Brownsville,
For sure.
and they obviously they have their Charro Days.
Charro Days,
So-
yes. Yeah, that's a big event.
It's the city friendship festival essentially.
For sure.
So that's awesome. That's what I like about it. It's just so.
And the people are so nice. I mean, that even the people who worked there at the Brownsville campus for UTRGB, I mean, they're all super nice. I mean, for the most part, it's easygoing, and
they're doing it right.
there's a culture there. There's a friendly culture.
Yeah. Everyone's so welcoming, so nice. Working at the Brownsville campus, there was like a reason to have a party like every other week. People would bring like just like potluck tamales or something, right? Green spaghetti.
Hell yeah.
It's I imagine their Thanksgiving is probably a little bit different than McAllen's Thanksgiving, right?
True.
More green spaghetti and rice and beans.
But we still eat green spaghetti over here too.
On Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Okay.
My family does.
Okay. Hey, awesome.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. I feel like it's just more
But
consistent.
no, I understand what you mean. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But that's the cool thing. I mean, it's like the culture in the valley is just it I mean, we all share that Mexican tradition, right? And so it's really nice to be able to have that in common with people in Brownsville. It's only an hour away, but we still have that in common. We still share that, and so it's nice.
It's my favorite commonality, and it's something as an educator I can see. Right, I worked a little bit at the high schools here in the valley, but I work at a high school in Austin, and like the biggest difference, but what I love about the Valley are the Nombre Sir kids. The Nombre Sir.
Nombre Sir. All right, you guys, it's time to turn on the homework. Nombre Sir.
Nombre Sir.
Hey, sir. Oh, dude, I gotta tell you this story. Okay,
Yeah.
when I okay, so I used to work as an undergraduate admissions counselor. Aaron knows we actually met this way. We both used to work as undergraduate admissions counselors, and so when I was working one day, we basically go to the high schools, help students do the admissions process, hold presentations, and talk about the programs of study and whatnot. And so I was at this high school. And I'm about to leave, and I overhear these students talking, and one of them tells this other guy, he's like, "Hey, dude, vas a ir a tu 8th period?" And in my mind, I'm like, bro, this is exactly what it was like when I was in high school. Like, dude, just go to class. It's the last freaking class. You're already here. Just go. Like,
yeah.
But it cracked me up, dude. It just cracked me up because that was one of those Nombre Sir kids. And he's just like, hey, you're going to go to your 8th period? Bro, just freaking go. You're already here, dude.
It's the Valley language. It's beyond English and
Spanish.
Spanish.
And so that's another thing that people understand, obviously. You meet somebody out there in Austin who's from the Valley, they're going to know.
Yeah.
They're going to know. And so the Nombre Sir kids, dude, those kids, man, they're freaking class clowns. And yeah, maybe they sometimes helped class go a little bit quicker, but sometimes you're like, bro, please, like, come on. Like, the teacher's trying to teach, or just...
trying to teach
Yeah, but that's so true. They could never take anything seriously.
No, how could they? Why?
And there not just the guys too, the girls too, man. Some of the girls, they didn't care.
The Hot Cheeto girls.
The Hot Cheeto girls.
We know one of them.
The Hot Cheeto, we do.
Show
yeah.
up at second period with.
She's not that much of a Hot Cheeto girl.
But she was. Like, she would show up second period with a stripes taco, a Q taco with hot Cheetos or hot fries.
An we know plenty of them, plenty. But
it's instigators,
dude. Yeah, those kids. Those kids.
There's a magic to that because I think.
Do you remember the Ferrari Pumas? The red Ferrari. The red Ferrari jackets and that kind of stuff.
Hey, I didn't go to Cherryland High School, dude.
Bro, I didn't go either.
They were around though.
Are you telling me that nobody in Elsa had the red Ferrari Pumas? They didn't even have to be original, bro.
No, there were probably like one kid.
I'm saying
they had the fat farms in elementary.
I was in 6th grade maybe. No, yeah, I remember that too in elementary school.
They had the knockoff ones, the Qs.
Do you remember the era of the Nextel walkie-talkies? You'd be at the mall and you'd hear that beeping.
I miss that.
No, hell no.
I do. That was so fun.
That was annoying, dude.
I never had it, but it reminded me. It was just like
you'd be at the mall and you hear that.
Where else can you hear that in the world? That's it's gone away a little bit. Everyone's got AirPods.
I don't even think. Do they still make those? I don't even think that it still makes those.
Probably like apps for
maybe
like Voxer, but even then, it's not the same.
You'd be at the mall and you hear that. Oh dear. And they would talk loud as hell. Like, dude, what is the reason?
I gotta ask my dad. My dad talks loud as hell.
What is the reason? But yeah, I mean, things like that, dude, that's freaking hilarious. Like, those are things that you think about and you're like, bro, like, only in the Valley.
Yeah.
Only in the Valley.
That's the magic. That's part of the magic. All right.
We should do a segment of Only in the Valley, and we talk about things that they do, like Only in the Valley. Will you see that? Right? You'll hear that kid saying, "Hey, bro, you gonna go through your 8th period?" Golly.
You gotta get a head start on the afternoon of doing nothing.
Golly.
I'm gonna play basketball, I guess, or
the whole generation like that, man. But no, there's some really good stuff, and I feel like we can definitely elaborate more on that. But I think we've touched on pretty much some really good points on of course our experiences in the Valley, and I'm sure everyone has their own experience, but like overall that the Valley is really a sick place to live, dude. I mean, like, shoot, man, I'm happy to be here. I really am, and I wish you would move back, but that's that's just me selfishly.
If you are hiring and willing to pay me $60,000.
Anybody willing to hire Aaron? And he wants $60K. I don't know why.
I want to afford a 2-bedroom apartment for me and my cats so they can have their own bed.
He makes He's probably making 60K in Austin.
I am not making 60K.
And he's not even, and he's still struggling.
Yeah.
But that's the nature of living in Austin, man.
Yeah. I think I'm probably like around like 40K in Austin, and still.
If you make 40K in Austin, can you live comfortably? You gotta be single, and you gotta buy bread for sandwiches, and
Yeah, you steal the breakfast from the kids at the high school because they don't eat it, and that's a meal.
golly.
That's not stealing; it's borrowing. Is what it is. Because I give them.
Well, you give it back.
I give it back with education
Oh,
and energy.
okay.
Yeah,
So it's a trade. Yeah, it's a trade.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's fair.
Well,
That's not true. I don't do that.
Well-
Legally, I allegedly.
yeah, no. I mean, shoot, man, it's only getting worse. The rent is only getting worse over there.
Yeah, it's happening a
That's
little
why
bit
people
here.
are leaving to Kyle into San Marcos and
Yeah.
Buda or Cedar Park,
Mm-hmm.
Round Rock, and commuting. And it's only gonna get worse, dude. And I don't think they expected for Austin to grow as fast as it's growing, but
No, yeah, it out underdid itself. It didn't plan for its own growth.
yeah.
And it tried to do so much in such a little time. The saying I hear all the time is 6 years ago. 6 years ago, it wasn't like this. The 90s, it wasn't like this, But it's true, you go places and it's at least it's like a 10
They
minute
wanted to
wait.
keep it undiscovered, low key.
Yeah,
Right?
and now it's
Keep it weird.
Yeah.
And now it ain't weird no more.
No.
Now it's corporate.
it's
keep
weird
Austin
how,
corporate.
It's weird how expensive it is.
Yeah.
It's weird how many.
I mean, at the end of the day,
scooters-
create more jobs, I guess, but
Ugh.
you also
For who?
saturate the city. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. That is true. You saturate the city, you congest the city.
Mhm.
It is what it is, man.
Get out of my state.
It is what it is. You're about to hate on California?
No, just the corporations.
Because it happens.
Yeah, no,
It's happening.
I was talking. I found out one of my other coworkers is from, I think, Brownsville. So we were talking a little bit, and I think she just mentioned something about like the Californians coming to Austin because we kind of feel bad about going too, like from the Valley, just adding more to the mess. And two of our coworkers were from from California, so they were just hiding behind their hands.
And I love Southern California, but dude, I'm not trying to go and pay $3,000 for a one bedroom, or maybe it's $2,500,
That sounds like a
$3,000.
good deal over there.
I don't know. I think that's what it was when I last looked,
Yeah.
but obviously I could be wrong. But the whole point is I'm not trying to pay an arm and a leg
Mm-hmm.
for rent, and yeah, heck no.
Mm-mm.
And so I'm happy, like whatever, like do what you need to do. If you need to leave California, great, but keep California.
Yeah. Go move. Where can they move instead of Texas? Oklahoma.
Bro, go to
Ooh.
Washington. Washington's cool.
No, they can go to Oklahoma.
What are they gonna do in Oklahoma? Actually,
Exactly.
I will say, and I've never been, but I hear good things about Oklahoma City. Right? There's got to be stuff.
They're
There's got to
lying.
be things to do.
They're lying.
Well, either way, Washington's really cool, dude. I would love to live in there, like live over there for a while, maybe just to see what it's like. No?
People get.
You don't think
depressed.
the Pacific Northwest is cool?
People get depressed in the Pacific Northwest?
Maybe you're
That's
probably
the
right,
weather.
but I like the rain. Maybe it's because we don't get any over here,
What?
as much in
Oh,
comparison
as
to Pacific
much.
Northwest.
Yeah, but-
dude, we're in a freaking drought. It hasn't rained in a long ass time.
The Valley rains pretty frequently
Lately, it hasn't.
lately, but
It hasn't in a long time. I feel well,
I thought-
except for
I thought it would be similar when I went to Austin to the Valley, but it's dry in Austin.
it has been lately.
It's
too.
rained like twice since
Yeah,
I've been there,
that's what I'm saying.
and I've been there since October.
But yeah, they can go anywhere they want. It's just
Mhm.
understand that there's a reason why rent is
Oh, there's-
affordable still.
Well, people
Relatively.
I've heard people from
Texas.
Austin are starting to come here in the Valley.
Yeah, because they're trying to they're realizing how affordable it is to live here.
Secret's
For
out.
now,
So, well, yeah, the secret's out for now.
hopefully not. But
Buy property if you can.
but also invest in the valley.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. Not just because what happened with Austin was that it invested heavily in the service industry, thinking that we're gonna have all these corporations here, we're gonna have all these music festivals and artists coming, so we need to have a service industry to service that, right? But you overinvest and you have too much of one thing, right? What happens when Indeed leaves town, when Dell leaves Austin? Then you have all these just like big holes, right? Like, so they need to create good jobs. Industry, the service industry is obviously important. It's necessary. We learned that very much, right? Things have not been the same since the pandemic, and you know, you go to Whataburger, McDonald's, it's just a little bit worse than what it was, but understandably, right? Whatever the workers are going through, whatever that has happened, but we need to have good, long-lasting jobs that aren't based in serving richer people. They need to serve the entire valley.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it sucks, right? There's a lot of places that are understaffed. There's a lot of places that are not paying maybe fair wages,
Yeah.
right? And that's tough across the board for everybody. Because, I mean, you look at inflation is not stopping, but nobody's getting raises, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for the most part, right? You don't see the wages staying consistent with inflation. And so...
And they hadn't prior to this whole mess. They had been like 40 years behind.
That's so true. We talk about how the minimum wage, dude, here, like when I was working my first part-time job, I want to say I was getting paid like $7.25, and it hasn't gotten up that much.
No,
it really hasn't. But how much has rent increased? How much has the housing market increased? Like the cost of a house has skyrocketed.
I'm sure
but wages haven't.
What used to be like $500 rent in the valley is now $800 at least.
That sounds about right.
And it'll probably be $9 soon enough.
That sounds about right. And obviously there are some places where, you know, you can still find affordable housing, but it's not going to be good. It's really not going to be good. But that's tough, man. It's tough just because, I don't know, dude. People work hard.
Yeah.
People work hard. And especially in the valley, people work hard.
Oh, yeah. We've seen our elderly, right? They've been doing it. Like, you saw that older man.
Yeah, that's true. The older man, dude. Just picking up old appliances and working hard. He probably looks 75. And
been doing that probably 50 years.
Yeah.
Or a good portion of that. Still doing it. Still loading things onto his truck. And that's his living. But that's not uncommon here at all.
Yeah. That's true. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're good. What do you say?
Yeah.
We're good?
Yeah.
Cool. I think we've covered a good amount. Thanks for being here with me, dude.
Yeah, of course.
Always happy to be on. I'm glad that you're here. I hope you would stay here in the valley.
Hey, get some sponsorships. I'll read those.
If you're hearing this and you want to sponsor us, you know, we'd be happy to accept the sponsorship.
D-Tronics. No, we can bleep that.
Well, it depends on who, though, right?
It
depends on who, right?
Yeah, that wasn't a free one. You can bleep that out. So
it depends on who wants to sponsor. But anyway, if you're listening, thank you so much for listening. If you're not, well, I don't care. You know, it is what it is. You know, you
didn't hear this.
Not everybody. No, like if you're listening, you liked it. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. If you're listening, you liked it. Awesome. If you listen, you didn't like it. Whatever, right? Not everyone has good taste. But at the end of the day,
true.
Thanks for hanging out with us. I'm Sam, and this is
Aaron
Reyes.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't believe your last name.
I didn't. I'm Sam. This is Aaron. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with us. Hopefully you can tune into the next one if we have a next one. Yeah, let's do a next one.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Right now?
I need to have lunch.
Okay.
Y'all take care. Have a good one. This has been We're from the Valley.
Bye.